Michigan State football recruiting. Yes, we hear the sirens. We hear the alarm bells. Things aren't going great, but could they get better? We'll talk to Ryan O'Blennis about it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe. Comment below how you are feeling about Michigan State football recruiting, because that will lead segments 1 and 2. We will get to the Michigan State Samford basketball game in segment 3. Spoil it right now. Me and Ryan of Spartans Illustrated, we're talking before that game. Surely it was a stress-free win for our Spartans. We'll get to that in segment 3, but it's going to be recruiting talk. Because, Ryan, I don't know about you. We've been hearing a lot about recruiting, both at our email inbox, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Over there at Spartans Illustrated, you guys do any recruiting talk lately, or is it all just crickets over there? What do you got?
Yeah, quite a bit of it. But, I mean, it has been, fairly not very active for Michigan State on the recruiting trail this season. So.
Which is making it active amongst conversation with State fans is, you know what, there's buzz about recruiting right now. It's not the good kind, Ryan. So, look, let's just call it what it is. As you guys are listening to this, we are a month away from early signing day. 2025 recruiting for Michigan State right now on Rivals. They rank 58th in the nation. They are behind teams like, Wake Forest, Virginia, Northwestern, and even FAU. Michigan State is behind right now. Only Purdue is behind them in the Big Ten. Now, look, I get why it's not great, Ryan. We talked about this in the offseason when recruiting was ever brought up. It's like, you know what, 2025, I don't think it'll be an extraordinary class. Recruiting largely predicated on 2+ year relationships. Coaches get to know guys when they're juniors, sophomores, maybe even earlier. And yes, they did have a good class last year. Pulled a lot of those Oregon State commits away, guys they already had a relationship with. But for this cycle, you know what? You're still trying to make inroads regionally with Midwest guys. Might be a little hard here, and let's just call it what it is, Ryan. You're also recruiting to a program that hasn't been to a bowl game in a few years, maybe even 3 years, depending on how these next 2 weeks go. But I gotta say, well, I did throw caution out there and be like, hey, it's not going to be extraordinary for 2025. Never did I think it'd be like this, though. Sitting 58th in the nation. Ryan, point blank, is it as bad as it looks? Like, is there any way to positively spin this for 2025, or is this guy kind of falling on this class here, in your opinion?
I think you have to look at it through a realistic lens. Like, yes, this is probably not up to par with what many fans wanted, and and I expected it to be a little bit better as well. But
right.
There are several positive ways to spin it too, and I think when you take away the fan lens, and you're saying, why are these guys not going after 4 stars? Why aren't they bringing higher recruits to campus? All that stuff. I think there's more nuance to it than that, right? As you mentioned, the staff is still new to the area, still building relationships, especially in the Midwest. But another thing about it too, and I think Chad Wilt brought this up at his media availability last week too. The staff is not really going to just go after, pull the Mel Tucker and get 4 and 5 star kids to campus who are never ever going to even consider actually coming to Michigan State. They are looking for fits schematically and character wise. So maybe a kid is a mid or low 3-star on ranking services, but he has the grades they want. He has the play style to fit the scheme they want. He has the character they want. He's somebody they think can develop. And that's another thing, too. The staff trusts their evaluations way more than any kind of ranking service has. That they know what they're doing. They proved it at Oregon State that they can take these lower-ranked kids and win. And they did it at a program like Oregon State. You have to be patient. And this first year, the rebuild was always going to require patience. It's not. I do think there have been some misses. Obviously, like I said, you have to be realistic about it. The expectation when you're at Michigan State is you shouldn't have a recruiting class ranked 58th. And I do think it's going to end up finishing better than that by the time it's all said and done. But, I mean, let's be realistic. They're not bringing in a top 25 class for 2025, probably not a top 35 class. But they're going to bring in the guys that they want, who they think are fits, who they've evaluated. They think they can develop them. They think these players are going to make an impact in the future. So, I mean, and there are some really good players in this class.
Totally. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been singing Breslin Collier's praises. Derek Simmons is another guy. There are some diamonds, but all 15 of these kids can't be diamonds in the rough. Like, it can't be sustainable like this, getting in the 50s every single year.
Yeah, exactly. And, I do think Collier is a kid who's going to come in. He's going to enroll early. He told me his goal is to play early, and I think that he has the skill set and the work ethic to do that. Obviously, he's going to have to earn it. It's not going to be given to him. But you see what Nick Marsh has done as a freshman. Like, Coach Smith, Coach Hawkins are not going to be afraid to play a freshman receiver if he earns that. And I think Collier is going to get on the field next year. Derek Simmons, again, I think Simmons is a great example of what we were talking about with the stats ability to evaluate. Before he started blowing up on all the recruiting services, and he's going to be getting a bump from rivals here this week too. He, was like a lower mid 3-star or whatever. And he, I was told early on that Simmons was a major target for MSU, when they were recruiting him before he committed and all that, because they know what he is going to be in the future and, his skill set and his fit in the scheme. So, I think that really kind of shows that they have this eye for talent, even when the rankings on recruiting services might not match up with that. And yeah, like you said, some of these kids are in fact going to, be mid or low 3-stars who might not ever make an impact in college. Some of them are going to outplay their ranking. Some of them are going to not even meet that ranking, not get on the field. Some of these kids, I'm sure, are going to end up transferring out in the future. You never know what's going to happen. But that's the other thing, too, is that all of recruiting rankings are based on future projections, right? It's easy to look at it and say, oh, they had the 58th class. Like, that's terrible. But you don't actually have any idea what any of these kids are going to do in their college career.
One thing that I am just a little concerned about, too, right now, and this is something I gave Mel Tucker a lot of flack for, hey, he brought in some 4-stars. That was great. He did have some classes that really lack just numbers. And you do want quality. It's not all about quantity. But right now you're sitting at just 15 kids for this class. How high do you think they can go? I know, obviously, they're going to try to flip other kids here, probably, group of 5 commits elsewhere, stuff like that. Will they get over 20, you think? Or if you want to really, try to look at a positive lens, maybe they're telegraphing everyone that we're actually going to save a lot of these for more transfers in the offseason. How do you read the whole 15 kids in the class right now with a month to go to signing day? Should I be worried about that, or let me pick your brain on that for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to add as many players from the high school ranks as you can, but in the day and age of the transfer portal, it doesn't matter as much. And there, my understanding from what I've been told, Michigan State is going to heavily attack the transfer portal this off season. I am expecting, still more kids to be added to the 2025 class. They're at 15 right now. I was told early on that they were never planning to take more than 2022 kids at max, in this class. So
gotcha.
It could have been anywhere from that kind of like 16, 17 to 22 range. But I mean, also they'll make exceptions for good players who want to come. So they'll take, they'll go over that if they need to, but it doesn't look like they're going to, be getting close to that. But, there are still targets on the board, right? And look at the JUCO ranks. You got Keyshawn Davila, who still has Michigan State very, very high on his list. He's still taking visits elsewhere. He hasn't, had told me a commitment date yet. But that's another, he would technically count as a 2025 signee. They're going to go into February. Antonio Johnson from Orchard Lake St. Mary's, possible February.
Yeah, that's right.
The Canadian defensive end, and I hope I'm not butchering his name, but Uwewu, the N is silent, he told me.
Okay. It's better than I could do. So yeah, good work there.
He was originally supposed to be on campus this week, Friday, for the Purdue game for an official visit, but that's been moved back now to January, and he's not looking to sign with a program until February anyway. So it's not like MSU is going to miss out on him because he's signing in December, and the staff is planning to go visit him in Canada also. So that's another one.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. No, it has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a $3 a month plan, well, I called them on it. And yeah, it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, hey, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your contacts. It is that easy. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get the new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. That's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
They're talking to a couple of, one's a current USF South Florida commit edge right now, Brooks Williams, and then another one who just decommitted from South Florida, Evan Ward. They both have calls with Michigan State tonight to see if anything's going to, it's just kind of initial. We don't know if anything else is going to transpire there, but if, both sides are mutual, then those could lead to visits. They just offered a Arizona cornerback commit, Gianni Edwards there. And then there are several flip targets on their board who they don't want the names out for because that helps nobody in a lot of cases.
Sure. Understandable.
So people looking at the class and just thinking like this is going to be what it is. No, they will add more people to this. We don't know exactly who yet or how it's going to work out unless they completely strike out on everybody. Expect, a few more ads before the December signing period, and then expect a couple more in February as well, and then expect them to really hit the winter transfer portal window hard, and then possibly the spring portal window if they still need people then. So it's roster building for next year. It's an ongoing process. It takes months and months and months. I know early signing period's only a couple weeks away at this point, but this is from a finalized class. So
let's talk flip candidates. However, not in a good way here, Ryan. Or maybe it will be good. I don't know. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this because Jace Clarizio, just in Michigan State's backyard, East Lansing, highly rated 3-star kid. There's one site out there that has him rated as a 4-star kid. And there's also another school that seems to think he's pretty damn good. Alabama, which he visited last weekend. Now, Alabama, they're doing okay in recruiting. They got a top 5 class right now. They also have 2 running backs already committed in that class. That does not stop them from going after Jace Clarizio. Now, Greg Smith of Rivals, he did add this on the Spartans Illustrated board today that, Jace said that, quote, it's something to think about. But he did point out, it's only good news that he didn't instantly flip and commit while in Tuscaloosa last weekend. He will be in East Lansing this Friday. I guess he's in East Lansing every day. He lives there, for God's sakes. But you know what I mean. He's going to be visiting Michigan State this Friday. What's the skinny on Clarizio? Should we be sweating this one out? Is it overall positive he didn't commit to Bama? How do you read this whole situation?
Sorry, just quickly before I forget, another 2025 target. Evan Young from Texas might have an official visit during the Rutgers weekend. That depends on his playoff schedule.
Okay.
Texas, but that's another one.
We'll take it.
But yeah, and then as for Clarizio, yes, he took an official visit to Alabama this past weekend. He enjoyed it. He has something to think about now. And he's, as far as I understand it, he's only now considering Michigan State and Alabama. He is planning to sign somewhere in December. He is planning to enroll early. So
gotcha.
We'll find out within the next couple of weeks. I don't know when he plans to make a final decision, but he has a connection down there with Coach Cap, who his dad, I think, was recruited by Nick Saban there was some kind of connection there. His dad played for MSU, but that's the thing. Is that Clarizio, not only did he grow up in East Lansing, his dad played at Michigan State. He is in the backyard. He can be a hometown hero. I think he would have a quicker playing path at Michigan State than he would in a room full of 4-star, 5 stars at Alabama.
No kidding, right?
So it is obviously when you get Alabama now on you, if they're really going to push hard for him, then yeah, it's going to be a battle. And but it's not. This is a little bit different case where it's not just Alabama offered; he's automatically flipping because he has that hometown connection. He has probably, like I said, a quicker path to playing time. He's a legacy recruit. All of that kind of is going to factor into his decision. Before he took this visit, I was talking to some sources at Michigan State about it. They said they weren't going to play hardball with him. They were going to let him go on the visit, see what he needs to see. And obviously, that's the right strategy because in today's day and age where the players and the kids have all these, it's a lot different than it was back in the day when, the teams kind of controlled everything. Now, a lot of the power is in the player's hands. So you don't want to be pressuring a kid to do that. You want him to take that visit and see what he needs to see. So that way, either one, he knows he wants to stay at Michigan State, or two, he can come back and tell you what he saw there, what he likes. And now you can tell him what you can do better to keep him in the class. He's a really good player. But I think, he would be, like I said, probably play earlier at Michigan State. He's, somebody who really is he could be a difference maker in the future if he signs for the Spartans. So
I like to think so.
Yeah. And MSU's also shown this year that they'll play, they'll give snaps to true freshmen. You've seen it with Tulis and Frazier. And so, that's just one factor, but he's, it's Alabama, championship pedigree. If you want to win a championship, if early playing time isn't as important to you, then obviously, that's something to consider. Alabama did just lose a running back commit to Ohio State.
Gotcha.
And I'm sorry, he hasn't committed to Ohio State yet, but Ohio State is considered the favorite, I believe, with a couple other schools in the mix. And I think that if Alabama really pushes, I think they're after another USC commit too at running back too. Then it's going to make a compelling case for him to leave. But at the same time, there's a lot of reasons why he should stay at Michigan State. And I think he knows that. I think he's going to kind of balance that out. And right now it's just kind of weighing the options. So
we'll see. Fun. Well, hey, you know what? At least we'll know within the month. It's not going to be too long of a waiting game here. Signing day will be here before we know it. And right before we get you out the door here, did notice that this week out of East Kentwood High School, Kate Kaufman, quarterback, got a Michigan State offer. Should we keep a close eye on that name? Just really quick, what have you heard about Kate Kaufman? Have you even spoke to the young man himself?
I have, yes. And one of our other writers here at Spartans Illustrated, Dylan, just had an interview story with him today.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody to keep an eye on. Now, he is not planning to commit until January, February timeframe.
Gotcha.
But as of now, Michigan State is his only Power 4 offer. We have some other MAC offers from, Central, Western, and Eastern Michigan, I believe. But Michigan State's shown a lot of interest in him. He came and camped in June, and I think really kind of got on the radar then at MSU. Brian Lindgren's been to one of his games this fall, so he actually took the time to go out and see him and evaluate him. Lindgren was the one who told him about the offer. And he visited for the Iowa game. He's going to be back this week on Friday for Purdue game.
Gotcha.
I think if Michigan State pushes, if this is their guy for 2026, I would have a hard time seeing any other program beating him, an in-state kid. He said him and his mom basically were crying when they got the offer. That's how much it ment to them.
I think it's a good sign. It's probably a good sign.
And he said, he doesn't have all the big time offers yet. I'm sure he's going to get more, but he's a kid's a talented playmaker. I think he'd be a great fit in the scheme. He's He's very mobile, can throw the ball on the run. Nice arm talent. He's somebody who I think, kind of fits in with that Smith and Lindgren system.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Well, Ryan, cannot thank you enough for all the intel, all the insight, and really bring perspective to recruiting because, I'm not the only one freaking out about it right now. That has been all the talk on Twitter as, hey, it's not been the greatest season. Well, what do we have to look forward to? Yeah, I think it was definitely worth bringing up recruiting right now. Folks, you can see more of Ryan over at Spartans Illustrated. Whole stable of outstanding talent over there at Spartans Illustrated. Now, we will be back in a hot second. Talk about whatever happened in this basketball game. Again, we've recorded before the basketball game. I'm sure it went on with no problem. We've got a new partner of the podcast coming at the perfect time because holiday season, guys, Skylight Frame might be the go-to gift. Even if you come from a big family and it's kind of hard to buy for each one another out there. And you might want to go in on a group gift for a grandma that you have just simply run out of ideas of what to even give her. Guys, Skylight Frame is the perfect frame. It's a perfect gift. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame for your whole family that they will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. Guys, it's so easy. Even someone that knows nothing about technology like myself, you can get it set up in less than 60 seconds. It is seamless to share your photos. Just invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription is even required. And then bang, you add new photos straight from your phone from anywhere. It only takes the tap on your phone to send new photos right to that frame, even across the country. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop on your busy lives. They'll feel so much more connected to you and just everyone that you love too. Guys, this is going to go under a family member's tree this upcoming Christmas. I can't spoil it. They might be listening to this podcast, but yeah, Skylight Frame coming to a family member near me very shortly. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. Also, guys, FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. They're keeping it hot for the college football season, NFL season, or hey, if you're like myself tonight, well, yeah, of course we wagered a few pennies on Michigan State. Yeah, someone here might have taken Samford plus 9.5 in a panic. I was very scared about that game for a little bit, but you know what? Michigan State won. I still covered and got some money. It's a win-win for your boy over here. Guys, keep it rolling over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you got to check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so now we know the conclusion. We're recording after a conversation with Ryan O'Blenis, by the way, which shout out again to Ryan. Great intel, as always, does more fantastic work over at Spartans Illustrated. Go subscribe to the fine folks over there. Let's talk about this basketball game because, of course, it wasn't stress-free. It never is stress-free. They could have East Lansing High School roll into the Breslin Center, and my God, I swear they would still start the game down 10 points before the under-16 timeout. Look, overall, positive game. Yes, they won 83-75 against Samford. Not to be mistaken with ACC powerhouse Stanford, but that is a solid team, though. They're kind of middle in the pack as far as the analytics go, whether you look at Ken Pom or Bart Torvik. They hum somewhere around 150. They'll be favored to win their mid-major conference. They could very well be a tournament team just like they were last year. That is fantastic coaching they do over there. Again, I'm not saying it's the world's greatest game. I'm not saying that we should be soaking Grand River with bottles of champagne and that you should call your boss and tell him you're not showing up to work today because you're too busy celebrating. Like, no, it's as fine of a home non-conference mid-major win as you could possibly get, though, you know? And it looked hairy early on until the Jaden Akins and Jace Richardson show. they checked into business right now. Now, before going any further, yes, Jace Richardson, very scary moment at the end of that game with less than a minute to go. He was so far out of bounds, the refs couldn't even see him. The fans had to scream at them to stop the play, but he hobbled off the court. He had to get support by two other guys just to get off the court. The time of recording, no additional information. Of course, we're going to talk about it tomorrow when we talk with Kevin Greck of Can't Read, Can't Write, but that's the unfortunate storyline leaving that game is Jace Richardson. Before then, 12 points, 4 steals, and yet another game wondering how on earth was this kid only 4 stars. Very high 4 stars, too. Like, he was a top 40 kid, but I'm not going to tell people how to do their jobs, but he was really good in the AAU circuit. It was clear that he could play defense even as an AAU player. His offensive game, clearly there. And on top of all that, well, it's not like his dad's an accountant and his mom's a librarian, and that's his pedigree that he's coming from. No, his dad played damn near 15 years in the NBA. I don't know, because so there's an account out there. His name is B-Flow. Go follow him on Twitter. He summed it up best. It's like, find me a freshman that makes more winning basketball plays than Jace Richardson does. You can't. He was extraordinary in this game, but not as extraordinary as Jaden Akins, who, like, my God, like, what a perplexing player to be rooting for the last 4 years here. I swear 2 or 3 games in a row, you will be asking yourself how he even found himself in a Michigan State jersey, asking if he's even built for any moment in Big Ten basketball here under these bright lights at Breslin Center. And then that 3rd or 4th game, I don't know about you guys, I looked into changing my kids' names to Jaden and then the other one Akins. Like, he saved the game today for Michigan State. Career high, 25 points. Guys, if you don't pay for Peacock, if you didn't watch this game, first of all, I don't blame you. There's so much in this world that you got to pay for. I don't knock you if you didn't pay for Peacock. Anyway, you missed this. Michigan State was, they were down double digits in the middle of the first half. Very reminiscent of the Bowling Green game we just did. But you know what? In the last 7 minutes of the first half, well, Michigan State goes out on a 29-7 run. And in those 7 minutes, 12 of those points come from Jaden Akins. All right, the lid finally came off the basket for Michigan State three-point shooting. Just as a whole, they shot 7 of 24 from three-point land. That was after starting 0 of 9 from 3. So, hey, you know what? You want a glass half full? They ended the game 7 of 15 from behind the arc. It was Jaden Akins making it rain in the first half. Game sneakily got a little hairy there in the second half. Like, I was watching the game, but it never really dawned on me that Samford was coming back until, oh my God, it's a 5-point game with like 6 minutes to go. What did Jaden Akins do? He put on Superman cape, 8-0 run by himself. By himself right there. So, yes, this was a Jaden Akins performance, quite literally of his lifetime, career high 25 points. So, yes, thank you, Mr. Akins, for all you do. We talk about him being a roller coaster of a player. That's not going to stop. I'd be shocked if he scores more than 6 points in the first game in Maui against Colorado. That's just kind of how his career goes. But this was a good time to have a really strong game if you are Jaden Akins. Now, of course, in that 29-7 run in the last 7 minutes of the first half, we're going to go back to that right now. That was started by Xavier Booker right there. He splashed that first 3 of the game. He also had a strong putback on his for his second basket too. Quick 5-0 run by him. That changed the energy in Breslin Center, got the Izzone perked up, ready to fire up the boys, and, well, Jaden Akins just really took it from there. But Booker also had a really strong pump fake at the top of the arc, and then 4 dribbles, smooth left-handed layup finish in the second half. And that's the kind of stuff that we're waiting for. It's like, that's 5-star stuff right there. 6'10", 6'11" guy dribbling just as elegant as a ballerina would if ballerinas had handles. You know what I mean? It was fluid. It's like, well, that's what we've been looking for here, is just take that ball inside the paint, young man. So, strong game from Xavier Booker. It's not going to get his, jersey in the rafters by any means, but 7 points. He looked confident. We'll take it. Just baby steps, guys. Just 10 minutes for him. But again, baby steps. You know what? Like, solid games from everywhere else, too. I got to point out this stat line, though. Trey Holloman, maybe the more just confounding games of all time, led Michigan. No, I'm sorry. Second leader. Oh, my God. No, third leader. Oh, my God. My notes are so scribbled right now. Third leader in plus minus at plus 14. Okay, 9 assists for Trey Holloman Really strong game. Also 6 steals for Trey Holloman. My goodness, but also, like we're not singing his praises completely because he was also 1 of 9 from the field and then committed a game-high 5 turnovers. You got the great, you got the bad with Trey Holloman. Obviously, in that positive, he had plus 14. Michigan State won the game anyway. So, but yeah, just had to point that one out for a bizarro stat line from the one, the only Trey Holloman. But yeah, I mean, from Jackson Kohler, look, 4 points, very clearly not his game. Samford is a very high-tempo team, and that's what irked me the most about the start of this game, is just how, and I'm not going to harp on it for too long. I'm not going to, just cry on camera right now, but that was a little confusing how woefully unprepared the team looked starting this game. And when I say that, it's not just because I'm complaining about they missed shots. They must not be shooting enough at practice. Sure. I guess that's part of it. The fact that you started with 9 3-pointers in the first 10 minutes of the game, you only got, 0 of them because you're just a horrible shooting team. Regardless, what really threw me for a loop here is that, it was 5 turnovers before the under-16 timeout. They committed 5 turnovers before they even had their 3rd shot attempted of the game. Samford is famously a very fast-tempo team, and it was the guards in Fears and Holloman that just looked frazzled very early on in this game, as if of course they watch film and they practice and everything. And, the broadcast crew said that Izzo was very fired up about this game. He made sure that his team knew what to expect, but maybe that's what you get with Fears missing, the better half, if not, pretty much all the Big Ten season last year after those first few games, because we all know what happened. Maybe that kind of speed really threw him for a loop right there. But anyway, harping on something that really doesn't matter because the team obviously won. But yeah, that I thought was confusing. You're going to see, athletes. You're going to see some fast basketball here, especially in Maui. My God, if you play UConn in the second game, you got to be ready for tempo like that, right? So, but it's just leaving guys open on the perimeter. I mean, it's clear Samford likes to shoot the 3-point ball well. But in that run, this is how we're going to end it. We're going to go back to that run in the first half. Playing a 3-guard lineup, it did wonders for Michigan State. I mean, not only did it give them more offensive chances, helped space the floor a little bit more, but defensively, you know what? You had quicker guys going out there on the perimeter, guys that weren't getting sucked in on defense, and then, now have to chase a guy down in the perimeter that they left behind. That was the lineup that really stirred the drink for Michigan State, was that it was Fears, Richardson, or Akins, also plugging Holloman here and there throughout the end of that first half too. But yeah, that's where we'll end things right there. That was a very nice 29-7 run to end the first half, because we would, my face would be a different shade of red if that run never happened, because I don't think MSU wins the game, if not for a 29-7 run. Go figure. All right, guys. We will be back tomorrow. Again, Kevin Greck of Can't Read, Can't Write joining the show. And then, of course, we're going to get more heavily into this Purdue game on Friday. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Love you all. Go Green.